Hi there, this is Tade, and welcome to the TNAIW GoGoPowerRankings show, sponsored by my YouTube channel, Rangers of Wrestling. This is our
Yeah, we got
debut on my
sponsors.
channel. Right? Exactly, we got sponsored. And as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First, to my right, he has allegedly no relation to our Impact World Champion, Steve Maclin. He is the star of the show, the one and only Burt Maclin.
How's it going?
Yay! And of course, to my left, he is the godfather of the Power Rankings, Lucha.
Hey, yo.
Alrighty. So I think this should be interesting. This week should be interesting. You know, we continue to feel the fallout of Rebellion. So I'm very curious to see who's going to make this week's Power Rankings. Obviously, Deanna being our Knockouts champion and Steve Maclin being our Impact World champion. I definitely expect them to be on there. Unfortunately, the news that we found out on this week's Impact, Joe Henry did suffer a broken nose. So I'm not expecting to see Joe Henry on this week's Power Rankings. Who do you expect to see, Burt?
I think Deanna should be number one.
You became a meme because of that.
Yeah. And then also too, just because I think that we're in kind of like a resurgence of it, I think Bullet Club should be top 3 just because I think Ace and Bay right now are just printing money. I saw that that when they came out, it looked like a new shirt design, which again, that should just bring in dollars. But I expect them to be top 3 because that was a really good match. And what have they been tag teaming for like a year, and they look like veterans already. So hopefully they're in the top 3.
Yeah, we'll find out shortly. Lucha,
You know, I'm a take the beginning part of the show and the ending part of the show and kind of mush it together to a nice little sandwich. I'm gonna say who I'm looking forward to seeing on this one and in the future, especially after the events of what happened. I want to see if they give any love to Kenny King from his BTI dub. Shout out to the homie. I want to see if they give him any love on the Power Rankings for this week, and then based off of their interaction backstage during the show, will Kenny King and Sheldon Jean will they have any like involvement in each other's ranking in the power ranking? Could they go a time machine route where they link up to run domination over the power rankings?
that's an interesting choice. We gotta wait and see because it kind of did. That segment did kind of hint that Kenny King, wants something to do with Shelton Jean. I mean, like I said, Shelton Jean was responsible for breaking Joe Henry's nose, so.
Beautiful.
Maybe he might use them to try to become digital media champion when Joe Henry comes back. Who knows?
Well, we know the best way to get on the rankings and score more points is being a faction. So maybe those two team up. Obviously having 10 seconds to think about it, being lazy. King's Court is the first name that comes to mind. That's really lazy. Anybody would have came up with that. Give me a little bit. I'll come up with a good faction name for him.
Definitely.
There is a faction name that already exists. You just got to dust it off the shirt.
Okay.
Are you talking about Team Canada?
I'm talking about the Beatdown Clan.
Oh, one of my favorite names for a group. Yes, please.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this Beatdown Clan. You guys have to fill me in on here. I've only been watching Impact for like.
It was Samoa Joe, MVP, Low Key, and I believe Lucha. Who am I missing?
Okay. Let me tag in and help you out here. It started as a 3-man faction between Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Kenny King, all in pursuit to get Bobby Lashley the world title. And then they got that, and then through that they, got an identity. They weren't named for a while, and then whenever they got an identity was when they kind of turned on Bobby, because Bobby was like, "Yeah, fuck y'all." And then that's when Samoa Joe and Low Key came in. So then it was MVP, Kenny King, Low Key, Samoa Joe, and then for a cup of tea, Hernandez.
This is why
they ran shit. They were Drew McIntyre's thorn in his side for a lot of his run.
Him and the Rising, I think their name was the Riot. What was that? Their name, their faction.
Yeah, it was something lame like that.
See, this is why Lucha is the greatest addition in this show. He's the historian.
Yeah.
Anytime you need an answer, he's been in the archives. He knows anything. He's like the card catalog. You know what I'm saying? So, because I totally forgot about those original Lashley, who pretty much the faction was built around. Because every faction needs the star, the mouthpiece, and then kind of like the guy that goes out there and takes the pins. You know what I mean? It's simple.
Kenny King was the cat who always took the L's, and they got away with that. They made it make sense because they always envision him as like the hothead. The hothead. They go in, they kind of get a little too raw and fuck around and find out.
So this time Sheldon Jean will be taking the pins. Kenny King's the star. Now we just need a third member. So let's be on the lookout for that. Maybe
Wait
a couple.
Second, you guys. Wait a second. We're a faction. So who's Bert's the star?
No. I go out there and take the pins. I have no problem with that. I like being the hothead that will run my mouth and go, you know what I mean? Go take the pins. I don't like.
Okay, that makes me the star. Lucha's the mouthpiece, and Bert is the fall guy.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mind like taking those comical bumps, like Shawn Michaels against Hulk Hogan, where he was just falling like it was like a mystery man out there.
Yeah, Burt out here getting memed on, taking bumps and shit.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's play these power rankings. Number 10, Nick Aldis. Number 9, X-Division Champion Trey Miguel. Number 8, Frankie Kazarian. Number 7, Kenny King. King. Number 6, Knockouts Tag Team Champions The Coven. Number 5, number 1 contender PCO. Number 4, the ABC Bullet Club. Number 3, World Champion Steve Maclin. Number 2, the Juggernaut Jordan Grace. Number 1, Knockouts Champion Deonna Purrazzo. Wow, this is certainly interesting, I have to say. A lot of these. Okay, this is a very interesting power ranking. So, Lucha, you said that whoever won last week between Deonna Purrazzo and Tyra Wilde was going to be number 1. So this week's power rankings is very interesting because we got the Coven at number 6.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jordan Grace at number 2 and Deonna Purrazzo at number 1, as she rightfully deserves. So why do you think the Coven is at number 6, Jordan Grace at number 2, and we obviously know why Deonna Purrazzo is at number 1. Not only is she our Knockouts World Champion, she main evented and she won. I didn't know this match was for the title. I thought it was going to be it basically was a champion versus champion match. So why do you think Jordan's at number 2 while the Covenant is at number 6?
They got a little bit of the main event rub, I believe. A and B, respectfully, they're the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. They were gonna have a presence on this power rankings. Looking at where they landed, it's a little controversial, if you ask me. I feel like you should swap them with, I don't know. I can't even say that. I was going to say we should swap them with Trey Miguel, but at least, the Coven was in action during the Impact. So, I guess that, like I said, the main event rub and the fact that they're champs got them at number 6, which sounds about right to me. Jordan Grace started out the match with a barn burner and got a dub against Masha. Everything looks fine. That every number you just laid out, they should be where they are.
Yeah. Bert, what do you think?
Well, first of all, Jordan being a number 2, she's one of those people at this point where she doesn't need a title to be like one of the top people in the company. You know what I mean? So her being where she's at it doesn't surprise me. And I think that's why she's ahead of the Coven, even though the Coven are Knockouts champs, but one of the members did lose while Jordan did win. So there you go. That explains why Jordan would be ahead of them. And as far as Deanna being number 1, I think she's the top champion in the company.
Oh,
so that definitely explains it right there. The Knockouts champion's always been on the same level as the world champion. So in terms of status in the promotion, so her being number 1, it makes total sense to me. And I believe she got a perfect score this week. It wasn't like the movie where one of the judges will throw up a 9 instead of a 10. I think she got all 10s this week.
So nobody was Kenny the Jet Smith in the dunk contest?
What?
No, yeah, nobody, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Second question: Has there ever been a perfect score before?
I think maybe Josh got it when he became world champion. I believe because I'm only saying that because I know Josh got it once for sure. So I'm just saying that I think that would have been the time that he got it.
So she's joining crazy company. I don't even think Kenny Omega got a perfect score.
Yeah, that's like an immaculate inning in baseball. What? No, that's him saying like three batters, 3 out. I mean, 9 pitches or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. Like the perfect score. So flawless victory in Mortal Kombat.
Wasn't Max upset over the fact that Kenny Omega never made the number 1 spot where the entire time he was Impact World Champion?
And I was too, because come on, bro, he's the world champ. What do you mean?
Well, that's because, there will always be people who are Impact favorite, other company, other promotion, bias. So I don't think there were people who really wanted to put him ahead because he wasn't, an Impact wrestler. That's why, if you remember, as soon as Christian beat him, technically he wasn't signed to Impact, but he was an Impact wrestler. Christian, I believe, became number 1. So it's like...
And it didn't even happen on Impact TV.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's a, you can't fault people for loving their Impact guys, you know what I mean? And guys and women, so,
I'm still mad that we got robbed of Josh Alexander versus Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
But anywho, back to Deanna being number 1. She definitely deserves being a number 1. Like I said, she main evented. She beat Taylor Wilde, who is a former Knockouts champion herself. So, alrighty. So, Nick Aldis, we had a whole segment about Nick Aldis, and he is sitting at the number 10 spot. I feel like this is a good spot for him, especially for people who didn't watch him as Magnus, which I'm one of those. I didn't see him as Magnus. So I feel like him being at number 10 is a good spot, especially with what happened in Impact. They reintroducing him, especially to the people that don't know him. So I feel like he can't be any lower than number 10 this week, at least this week.
Honestly, him at number 10 makes me feel like one of 2 people got robbed, and I don't know who it is, whether it was Champagne Singh who got robbed of a spot because at least he was on the show, and had a match, or Masha that got robbed of her spot because she also had that barn burner with Jordan Grace that was like one front thrust away from going the other way, So yeah, Nick Aldis had a little promo spot, but Nick Aldis still has not collected dubs, and I don't think he's done enough to be on the top 10. We need to pump the brakes on starting Nick Aldis's power rankings rise. His stats, are already starting out crazy before my man even has a program. So I think Masha got robbed.
Yeah, for me, I just think it was kind of a slow week in terms of I'm not super angry that him at being number 10 because I can't see a clear-cut person that should have been down there. I agree Masha could have been on there, but it's not like other weeks where I'm sitting here saying wow, he's on there, but they're not. So it's because they are slowly trying to reintroduce Nick Aldis as a main event contender. So I think number 10's a fine spot.
You know who got robbed? Johnny Swinger got robbed. Okay, he defeated El Generico. Okay, El Generico, and then not only did Santino Morella take away that victory, but he didn't even make it a spot in this week's power rankings.
No disrespect to Johnny Swinger, but as soon as we start putting him in the countdown for stuff like that, I kind of think we're disrespecting Lucha, who came up with this whole thing, because it is a prestigious countdown. And you know what I mean? Like Johnny Swinger, well, I like Johnny Swinger. I think he's very fun. It's not like this is, you know what I mean? It's not top 10 worthy.
Okay. Now, Burt, I appreciate you for riding, you know what I'm saying, for the cause. I appreciate it. But honestly, like, if at the end of the day, if he can leave the 8 o'clock to 10 p.m. hour with a victory, if he can leave those 2 hours with a victory, then if it fits, it ships. Because, I mean, we gave Trey Miguel mad points a few weeks back because he cheated to win his match. You know, Johnny Swinger cheating to win matches. You know, that's happened before. But the thing is, Swinger's just not, he's not looking through the power rankings rule book on how this works and how you're supposed to get wins to get in. You win or get in, you know what I'm saying? This is the Bob Backlund edition. Like, it's Bob Backlund authorized. So you know it's real. And Swinger's just not, he's not hip to the game yet. He's still young in his, it's still young in his career. He's got hella time to figure it out.
You say he's still young.
I think he's only 27
and a half.
So it's like,
I remember that. I remember that when
half.
he was still doing the Swingers Palace. That was hilarious.
Yes, wait till he learns about Bob Backlund and he meets Bob Backlund and figure out what the Bob Backlund authorization process is all about when it comes to the power rankings. It's a wrap. It's untapped potential for Johnny Swinger. I'm telling you, IPWF fucking 6, whichever one it is, Johnny Swinger is gonna be the man.
Yeah, he is. Let's talk about number 9, Trey Miguel, our X Division champion, the champion that the three of us.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
On doing one hell of a run. How dare the Power Rankings Committee? What kind of Melvins do you have in the Power Rankings Committee voting Trey Miguel at number 9? I mean, I get Homeboy wasn't on the show, but come on, number 9, really?
I can't even pull a bullshit excuse out my ass. I don't like it either.
Look at Burt. You guys upset Burt. I hope you guys are happy. You guys all upset Burt.
Me and Lucha were the only two that
Burt off.
Because here's the way I look at the rankings. I don't take it as the show, the rankings reset every week in terms of, because the show doesn't reset every week. He's still the champion. He doesn't lose the belt, and he was on the rankings last week. So I'm not saying he should be 1. I'm not saying he should be number 2, but he should be at least 3 or 4. And the fact that he's number 9 is a travesty.
He shouldn't be number 9.
Number 9 is, he should, yeah, like I said, 3 or 4, but number 9 is horrible. I think I voted for him in 4 in mine. I'm not sure where Lucha voted him, but I know it was like top 6. So
what kind of Melvins do you have in the Power Rankings, you guys? Like, really? Number 9? Like, Trey Miguel deserves to be higher than number 9.
I had him at number 5.
So yeah.
I have nothing more to say.
Me and Burt are the only ones, you know what I'm saying? That you gotta talk to the ones behind the camera, behind the scenes.
I hope the committee learns from this to never vote Trey Miguel number 9 ever again. So
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, me neither. I'm speechless.
Right,
let's just move on. Okay, let's do 5 and 3. 5 being our number 1 contender, the French-Canadian Frankenstein, PCO, and 3 being Bert's alleged cousin, our world champion, Steve Maclin. So, Steve Maclin is our world champion, yet he's at number 3. And PCO being number 1 contender, he's at number 5. He's right under the Coven, who, like we talked about earlier, Taylor Wilde main evented, yet she lost. But they're still tag team champions. So, and, PCO did get the victory over Champagne Singh. saying? So
the
why do you,
Raj.
okay, the Raj. So why do you think he's at number 5 and our world champion is at number 3?
Well, I think he's at number 3 just because I think the people ahead of him deserve to be ahead of him, Steve Maclin, and then I think PCO be number 5. I think we've seen number 1 contenders be higher than that. I just don't think a lot of people are necessarily really interested in this feud. I think it's just more of like a good for PCO is a fan favorite, but I don't think that he's going to be any higher than 5. Leading up until his, and I still think that the real feud was between him and Trey Miguel. I just think that would have been such an entertaining match. So, I think number 5 is the perfect place for him this week because he did get a victory.
Lucha?
Yeah, I mean, number 5's cool. Yeah, think about it. He did. Yeah, he got a victory over Champagne Singh. Like, I mean, no disrespect to the Raj because that's the homie. You know what I'm saying? But how much at this current point in time does a victory over the Raj have? Like, how does that affect his ranking? In any way? For him to even get the 5, I feel like was real generous on the committee's behalf. But you can't not get him on because he is the number 1 contender and he did get a dub. So if there's anywhere for him to be, that's right where he should be. As far as Steve Maclin goes, I mean, the only controversy is that Jordan somehow snuck up above him. I'm not mad at it, but like I don't condone it either. So I mean, for him to be 3, that's fine. That's like the safe zone for the world champion.
I definitely do agree with you, Lucha. If we guys remember, there were times where Josh Alexander didn't even like come out on Impact, and yet he was still like top 3. Or there were instances where he just had like a backstage interview, and he still made like the top 3 or something. At least Steve Maclin had a segment. Yeah, same. Yeah, exactly. So at least Steve Maclin actually appeared and had an in-ring segment. So I'm okay with Steve Maclin being at number 3. And like I said earlier, Deonna Purrazzo definitely deserved to be number 1. So I cannot argue for him to be number 1. In this case, this week, I'm okay with him being number 3.
And if I can just real quick, because just go back to Trey Miguel real quick. Let's get Trey Miguel a faction so he can get higher. Because that seems to be the only way Trey Miguel gets. I see
what you did there.
Countdown. I think that's the way Trey Miguel can only get some respect on this countdown. So,
At least he wasn't left off the countdown. It would have been complete disrespect if he was left off the countdown.
And what did I say? How did I phrase it that was funny? I don't understand. What did I say? You were laughing at.
You can't explain the joke. We'll explain it off the air.
Okay. Sorry.
It lives in infamy.
Yeah.
But
okay.
But you slide that for you.
Okay.
It's raining like a son bitch.
Number 8, Frankie Kazarian, who apparently is having the first of many interviews. I don't know how many because they didn't say, but I feel like this is a good way to introduce Frankie Kazarian to anybody who doesn't know who Frankie Kazarian is or his history with Impact Wrestling. But I mean, if this is all he's going to be doing is just having these interviews, I don't have a problem with him being on the power rankings, but I guess depending on who is before him or after him, I feel like that's where I might have an issue with. What about you, Burt?
Well, first of all, I think Frankie Kazarian is on here this week purely because of what we're about to watch, and his Impact doesn't get enough credit for the way they can brilliantly tell a story. Impact, Frankie Kazarian bleeds Impact. So, and I thought that whole segment was great. The stuff that he was talking about, just recapping his whole, and like, again, if people are not familiar with him, there was so much footage they showed you and just so many, he gave you so much stuff about his past there. So yeah, I'm fine with him being on the countdown, and I hope it continues because I hope obviously that was only the first part of many. So I'm fine with it because there is an Impact legend who doesn't get enough respect. Again, I'll go back to this story. And Lucha, when did he debut?
03.
So Yeah, come on.
I don't know if anyone was paying attention. Like, I know we were listening to Burt, but like, I don't know if anyone was paying attention to my face. What y'all saw, like the whole time Burt was talking, what y'all saw was a man realize he was wrong in live and in living color, because I was not happy about Frankie being on number 8. I was so pissed at the precedent that Frankie Kazarian and Nick Aldis were setting by talking their way onto to the top 10. The talking nonsense about Impact Wrestling, that's us. We talk because we're not in the ring. They're in the ring, and you know, we shouldn't be awarding the talking. We should be awarding the winning. And I was mad about that. But then I remembered and I realized last week Frankie Kazarian beat 2 dudes. So if that's not enough reason to have some leftover momentum to be on the power rankings, I don't know what is. So I'm perfectly fine with him being number 8.
Yeah, like I said, dude, it's yeah, we're not taking one show into account, because if that was the case, then it wouldn't matter who was champion. You know what I mean? So like when you come in every week, you're still a champion. Frankie Kazarian is coming off a victory of 2 dudes, and this week they're telling the history of Frankie Kazarian. So I'm perfectly fine. It's not like being number 8's an offensive spot. He's ahead of 2 people, and 2 people, it's not like they're champions. Like, come on.
Did we not just rant that Trey Miguel was number 9?
Oh, sorry. Again, hey, hey.
See,
you know,
that
I'm still on that 420 hangover. So, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Well, you know, the stuff's stronger these days. So, again, he was ahead of Trey Miguel, but like I said, Kazarian is a legend. Impact legend.
So does him being a legend give him more stock to be ahead of a current champion in Trey Miguel? Is that your case you're going with?
I think that's a less of a case of the people who vote. Not, I don't know why they don't like Trey Miguel. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to say.
I honestly feel like they didn't vote for Trey Miguel just for the simple fact that he didn't appear on this week's show.
I voted for both of them, but I had Trey ahead of Kazarian.
I don't even think I had Kazarian on mine.
I'm not just like putting pictures on the walls like aces and eights where they're picking random victims of who they're going to attack each week on Impact. I put thought into this countdown. I mean, it's my top 10.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes.
How in the ham sandwich did Alicia Edwards get on the top 10? Was it last week or week before last? Last week. How did she get on the top 10 for beating 1 tomato can when Jody Threat has beaten about 2-3 tomato cans and she hasn't gotten any love on this?
I was about to bring her up at the end of the show. I was going to bring her up. I was going to say how she hasn't made the power rankings when she's building her little streak, you know?
I think it's because while a lot of people have come into Impact with a little bit of a name, I think she's a relative unknown to a lot of people. So, yes, she's beaten 3 people, but let's keep it going. You know what I mean? She's very good, and so I see she'll be in the rankings in the near future. You know what I mean? Look out for her. But I just think that she's a relatively unknown at this point. Not unknown at this point, but you know, maybe to the rankings committee.
To Jay would say, of course she's good. She was trained by former world champion Josh Alexander, and like you said, she's still an unknown. Nobody really knew who she was. I personally didn't, so I could see that playing into factors to why she's not on the power rankings. But I feel like she will make an appearance. She's building that streak. So
well, then one way to get her into the power rankings even more would be a heel Team Canada, her, Josh. Again, factions. It's all about factions. You know what I'm saying? Faction warfare. The more, the better.
Are you guys still trying to make Team Canada happy? Because it seems like it's not happening.
It should happen, though. It's a better time than ever because now it's time to see. Because if people don't remember, Josh Alexander originally in the North, they were a heel tag team, and Ethan was more of the mouthpiece at the time. I think Josh would be fully capable of being a heel champion, especially it's always easy to come back as a heel off an injury. You know, you always blame the fans. You know, it's heel 101. You know what I mean? And obviously, heel Team Canada, I think it's money. So we always get sidetracked on it, but I want to see it.
All right, now let's get back on track. But let's talk about number 7, Kenny King, who, Lucha, you mentioned this at the beginning. He got a big victory on BTI. Who did he face? I didn't catch the guy's name who he fought on BTI, but he did get a victory on BTI.
Tomato can stand.
And then you did bring up the fact that he had a backstage segment with Shelton Jean, who, like I said, broke Joe Henry's nose. So I would not be surprised if, we get a little something there, maybe a tag team. And like you guys saying, it seems like being in a faction is how you get on the power rankings.
But also, I do want to bring this reality up, though. What if they don't be a faction and this instead starts to be like a back and forth? Then we have them two pretty much battling for top 10 supremacy.
Ooh, that's interesting. Shelton Jean, from the few matches that I've seen him, he's not bad. He's definitely not bad,
Yeah, I rock with him. I need to see more. I want, not only do I need to see more, I want to see more. And that should be all you need right there.
Same. I definitely think we see more of Kevin Knight than we have of Shelton Jean. So I want to see more of Shelton Jean too before I make a decision as to.
Facts.
Well, I think you've been hearing me been talking about how I've been saying get Kenny King some gold. Well, I think we just saw the perfect story. Shelton Jean went in there and did the dirty work. He, laid the foundation. He broke Joe Henry's nose. Now let me see Kenny King versus Joe Henry. Kenny King take that digital media title off him. I've already said I think Joe Henry's outgrown that belt. I think he was a main eventer from the beginning, but I think that they just want to kind of, continue making the digital media title, elevating it, which I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, give me Kenny King beating Joe Henry now, and I think we have the storyline right there. So Kenny King 7, I like it.
I wonder what kind of song Joe Henry would make about Kenny King, because we saw what he did to Matt Cardona and Moose.
Well,
that man is ruthless.
If I'm Impact to make Kenny King look strong, right before before Joe Henry's about to even record it, I would have Kenny King and Shelton Jean roll up and just whoop his ass. Don't be letting them
ass in the studio.
What?
You
just roll up in the
Kenny
studio.
King? Yeah, you roll up and beat his ass in the studio.
Don't be letting them song about Kenny. Yeah. Don't even let him spit one bar, dude. Just roll up in there and whoop his ass.
I love it.
I like that idea so much. And I like Joe Henry too. I believe in 252 pounds of pure motivation.
Same.
All right. Last but certainly not least, at number 4, the ABC, Chris Bay and Ace Austin. So they got a big victory over the design here. And honestly, I just feel like they're building momentum. They've been teaming together for a while. I think Burt, you said for a year. So I'm happy to see ABC always on this week's power rankings.
And again, like we've kind of seen Impact slowly rebuild that division. You know what I mean? They just face the design. You know what I mean? We have Heath and Rhino again. We have TMDK that will come in. We saw the machine guns. You could even put, sometimes you see probably Ziggy Dice and Johnny Swinger team if you really wanted like a quick mat. You know what I mean? But so yeah, I'm glad to see Ace and Bay in there. That was a non-title match, but yeah, like they can do that now with how strong the division is. So them being number 4 this week is perfect because, like I said, I always say the people ahead of them, I think, went out there and took their spots.
I mean, okay, so I agree with everything you said. You're right. But I could honestly make an argument to swap them with Steve Maclin because, like, at least in the case of ABC, they defended their spot on the power rankings, not instead of relying on the fact that they're the champs. You know, they went out and worked. They got a dub, as we talked about. So there's a case to be made. I'm just not going to be the one to make it. I'm fine with everything, how it lined up. They're right where they should be at for. I just feel that there's a case that someone could stand up and make to swap them with Steve Maclin.
I get what Lucha's saying, definitely, because like he said, you can make the case. I mean, ABC did defend their titles, and what did Steve Maclin do? He just went out there, cut a promo, and then had people beat up PCO. So, you know, if we're talking about victories, ABC did get the big win over the design. I could see why he says that you can make an argument for that.
But I'm not.
I'm not either, because I'm happy with Steve Maclin.
I think that Maclin, because of the work he's put in to get to where he's at, he's a fan favorite with the rankings committee, and I don't have a problem with that. We've seen him Impact kind of create him. The Impact has created another star with him, like we've just seen time and time again. So again, yeah, he's a favorite with the rankings committee. So I don't have a problem with him being ahead of Ace and Bay. Again, I do like it when somebody, especially a champion, they're both champs, but this time I would say that the tie victory should be that the champs had a match on TV. So like Lucha said, I would swap them.
And you know, and I do agree. Steve Maclin has become a fan favorite. I mean, look how much he went from coming in, you know, from being Steve Cutler in A Forgotten Son to being Steve Maclin. And he went in, he was undefeated. He had an incredible rivalry with Trey Miguel. And, you know, he got robbed of beating Josh Alexander in his home country of Canada. He was supposed to be the Stone Cold to Josh Alexander's Bret Hart. And he, unfortunately, was robbed of that.
Yeah, no, Impact just continues to make stars. We watch it. Like, they took a young guy in Johnny Swinger, and look what they did with him. You know what I mean? Look what they turned him into. I hope people obviously realize that the amount of stars they have created, whether it's Drew,
prime example
Drew Galloway,
of that.
Drew Galloway, Deanna Purrazzo, Gail Kim, Mickey James. I think Kurt Angle, Impact run is a little bit better than his WWE's run. Yeah, Christian Cage. We're watching, them turn Trey Miguel, Ace and Bay into superstars. Like the list goes on. So
hell, even
Bobby
Josh
Lashley,
Alexander.
what?
I would say even Josh Alexander himself, they turned him into a star. He went from being a tag team competitor to being the longest reigning Impact World Champion in history.
Yeah.
Well, we pretty much covered all the power rankings for this week. Do you guys have any last minute remarks about anybody in the power rankings? Any questions that you guys may want to ask to not only our viewers but to each other?
Yeah, I do love this part just because I always like getting Lucha's feedback. Like, what do you like when the champions get more? Do you want to see the champions each week get more love just automatically because they're champions, or do you like when we see people who basically are on the show getting a big win kind of dominate the rankings? Which one do you prefer?
I mean, if the champ, I want the champ to be represented because they're champions. They unfairly are automatically like the top 5 spots?
Yeah,
knockout that 5, 6, 7 spots. They're automatically like in theory those top spots because they are champions. Yeah. But also, there is a very deep, a very talented roster that Impact has that is grinding out to get dubs as well. So, and then with the champions, that means you can't really rest on the fact that you're just the champion. Like, you're going to have to go out and do some fighting. ABC understood that this week. Deanna understood that this week. The champions, like, if they should be on the rankings, but it's just a matter of their participation versus who's over them and whether or not they should be there. That's probably the most important thing. That's why I was kind of funky on Trey Miguel being behind Frankie Kazarian.
This one also could be argued that Impact could do a second show just because it's almost like people are getting voted, like where they'd make more of a case for like people who are getting voted that were on the show to get, give another chance to wrestle, because like this roster is very deep, you know what I mean? And it would be, it would be cool to see, more people get an opportunity each week.
So you think that with a second show, that would make the power rankings look any different than they already do? Because I honestly don't think that even with the second show that it would make that big a difference of who ends up on top.
Yeah, well, just because, like, for example, like on a week when Trey Miguel didn't if he would have like had like a squash match on the B show and then cut a promo on the A show, I think that he would have been higher in the rankings. You know what I mean? Because I kind of would use the second show as for a couple matches to get the mid card over, but also for the champions once in a while to have a match like that in the beginning, or cut promos as well. You know what I mean? Because you don't want the champions wrestling every week because they are the champions. You want to keep them as at the top for a reason. You know what I mean? They're a showcase. So I think it just could help certain people who at times struggle to get on the rankings. Also, a B show is just a great place to start storylines.
I feel you, Bert. I get what you're saying. So, for
like,
me,
you could dive and do a whole 30-minute show by itself. You know what I mean? You may call it a different name. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, what I want to see next week is I want to see Jody Threat. I feel like we talked about it briefly. She is racking up her wins. She was trained by our former Impact World Champion, the longest reigning Impact World Champion, Josh Alexander. I think that if she doesn't make a spot next week, then I definitely think in 2 weeks we are going to see her on the power rankings. She is impressive. She's really good. And she deserves a spot. Maybe not like top 5, but definitely maybe like 10 or 9, or something. We'll see.
Get rid of everything I just said. I completely agree with you, because at the end of the day, it's all about dubs, wins, and she's winning. You know what I'm saying? Like last time I checked, she's getting that winner's purse. You know what I mean? That winner's check. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They're handing her the suitcase of money afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's like she should be on this show. And again, she's on the show, she's cutting promos, and she's winning. But we don't have a set rules for the rankings. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, she should be on the show coming up.
But it's like you said, the fact what's hurting her is that she's an unknown. Nobody really knows of her, and she's fighting tomato cans.
Yeah, but the Knockouts division, again, it's one of the prestigious divisions in wrestling.
Yeah, that's why Trinity chose to go to Impact.
And people have gone. We've seen time and time again, people choose Impact. There's a lot of women who always will speak very highly of how strongly that division has been built since its inception.
What I'm excited for as far as next week, honestly, I hear what y'all are saying about Jody Threat. Hell, I just said it not too long ago myself. But my question is, will her progression and her momentum mean a damn thing compared to Trinity? And if her talking is going to get her on this power rankings, because clearly we award talking.
You're not gonna let that go, are you?
No, we're the talking nonsense. That's our
gimmick. We are TNAIW. Well, actually,
sponsored by Rangers of Wrestling.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see. I want to see which one of y'all's is gonna cut the promo on the Rantron 7000. The hardest.
We got a new Rantron?
I thought we did.
Well, I think when Trinity arrives, she will be higher on the countdown just because she's just coming in with more of following cachet, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? As soon as she lands in the ring, you know, the scouters will probably break just because if you watch Dragon Ball Z, they can't handle that high of a power level. So, you know what I mean? They'll probably break. So, you know what I mean? Like, I expect with the first promo, depending on the ranking committee, because they're very unpredictable, she could be anywhere from 6, maybe even top 3. So
Do
you
you
never
guys think
know.
she'll be number 1? Do you think she'll be number 1?
I don't think it's very hard to knock out. I would be very upset. This is Gianna's house. Okay? She's a three-time knockouts champion. So, yeah, no. But I think her, you know, if she becomes number 1 contender, then you put her 2, because like we keep saying, the knockouts division is a marquee division in this company.
Alrighty, you guys. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I know this is our debut here on Rangers of Wrestling, but we hope you give us a chance. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure not only do you check out my content, but you also go check out TNAIW. I'll leave a link in the description for their YouTube channel so you guys can feel free to check out their stuff. And of course, check out my stuff too. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.